You can't always trust if someone says, this is really good, or we're here to help you, especially on media.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode From the Wings. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey, Reba.
How are you doing?
I wasted some time this week. How are you doing?
I wasted some time a couple weeks ago, but yeah, sorry about the misdirection of something that I thought was going to be really good. So I was scrolling Instagram as one does, and I stumbled across one of the accounts that said Finding Good Films.
Yeah. It's very simple. It says films, movies, web series. It's a digital creator. They find good films and series for you so you don't have to.
I challenged Rebecca and I said, why don't we each pick out something that they recommend is good, and then we'll come back and talk about it and talk about what it means. I picked something called Big Shot, which was supposedly a television series starring John Stamos, who I
Big fan.
love him, and it was on Disney. So it just seemed like a match made in heaven for me, right? And I would have never heard about it, honestly, if it had not been for this account. So I go to watch it, and it's not on Disney anymore. And so then I sent myself looking everywhere, where can you watch it? And evidently it's been taken down, and I was really sad. So then I had to find something else. Yeah. And I did, and I picked a film called The Idea of You, starring Anne Hathaway, because I love Anne Hathaway, and I thought this will be great. And other than the fact that it does end up being a really sweet love story, I would not think that it was good. And I actually found myself thinking as I was watching it, why do they feel like this is something that they are recommending to me, saying that this is a good film that they're finding for me? What is their definition?
The way the account is set up is you click on, and it's a bunch of reels, and they basically just screen grab just a scene from a movie, and you're watching that scene a little bit, and if you're interested in it, you scroll down a little bit, they have a little bit of a description of the show, and then they'll tell you the ratings, but again, I don't know who's rating that.
Right.
And then it will tell you where it's streaming. And so I found this one where I'm like, okay, this sounds cool. Streaming nowhere. And I was like, so I just scrolled through your whole little account.
Yeah.
Just to, so you can tell me that the show that I didn't even know existed, now I know existed, I can't watch it? And finally I gave up, and I was like, well, La La Land. I'm going to watch La La Land. And I watched La La Land. And so it's like,
which are obviously won a lot of awards, so obviously in many people's minds it's a good film.
Right. But for me, the account itself, you're kind of like, I think it goes against kind of what the point of it kind of was, and it all centered toward your definition of good.
I thought that this gave us a really good opportunity to set some criteria for yourself. Like if somebody had that account that you were looking at and they said, you should watch this film, it's good, what would you expect that to mean? So, Rebecca, what is one thing that you would expect a good film to have?
Yeah, something that I think it shouldn't have is like strong language, sexual content. For me, that's a no.
Let's get a little bit further detailed on what that means. So, strong language.
I do watch films that have one or two swear words in them, but it's definitely not like the heart of the film, and it's definitely not all throughout the film, or maybe even glorified in the film. I think there's a difference there, having a character who swears and they are portrayed as not being of upright standing versus like, I don't know, Wolf of Wall Street or something where it's just so much.
And I know it should bother me all the time, but sometimes honestly I don't hear it unless I'm watching it with somebody else.
So
if I was watching it with you, I would
be like,
oh, there's another swear word, but I might not really hear it. I've just learned to tune it out, I guess, which I guess is a good thing. Next thing that you said was sexual content. Well, we did a review a long time ago on Prince
we need to let it die. We need to never bring that up again.
But we had very differing opinions because you felt like it was godly or glorifying God, whereas I was very uncomfortable. So let's talk about the sexual content.
I think it's the hard attitude behind it. Okay. It's the like, why are you putting this in front of me? What are you trying to make me feel here? I don't mind if they insinuate something happening, if it's part of the story, like someone has an affair, or things like that. But I think for me, it's what, is it being glorified or is it not? So again, it goes back maybe to The Great Gatsby, where there was sexual content in there, but everyone who went that way found destruction. And I'm like, I'm okay with that in the sense of the message was right. And they didn't go too far with it, I think, in a lot of areas.
They didn't, which was really good. But I did tell you, I think in intermission, I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little guilty that I'm watching it. So they definitely took us like
on the
right
line.
to the edge.
Right. So for me, I don't want to be on that line, but I think that's my sexual content line.
The storyline has to be compelling and well written, and then I'm just going to go ahead and throw in well acted as well. A long time ago, I saw a film. The name of it was Frances. And in it, it's about a girl who ends up having a lobotomy. And it has been something that always, my whole life, since that point, has just left me very disturbed. And it was just so well done. And I didn't know what a lobotomy was at that time. And so I learned then what that was and how they treated people who didn't behave the right way in society. They would just change their brains. And it's like a frightening thing to think of that we live in a world that shows that method. If you don't have the same standards, I'll just change your brain, right? And suck a few of your brain cells out. So for me, that is a good movie because it made me feel something. It made me go research more. It opened my eyes to something else. And so it had a higher purpose than just entertainment. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like to be entertained.
We love a good entertainment.
But I wouldn't necessarily go, oh my goodness, that was such a great movie.
Yes.
Right.
And maybe that's our issue. They're not good. The great movies are good movies.
Right.
So maybe we need to find a new account that's great movies.
Right.
These are just
but
good
I don't even think that some of these are good.
Even going off of it, I was like, this person doesn't have the same hard attitude as I do.
So I think that's our point from this particular experiment. If you are looking for something to do with your time and you are asking somebody else for a recommendation, consider the source. And that goes for whatever it is. Even a Bible commentary. There are people that have different theology than you do. So consider your source when people are giving you recommendations.
Yeah. And we hope that you enjoy our movie recommendations. We try our best, and now you know kind of where we're coming from when we think if something is good. It's not just good in cinematography. It's not just good acting. It's a good message, and it's a good purpose behind the actual show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, until next time, it's just me.
And me.
Talking to you from the wings.